Ever think there was a way to get your message across better, but you can't quite put your finger on it? Well, let me explore some things with you today. Maybe we'll actually find it together. There's this thing out there in the world that's called gamification. A lot of corporate entities are using this, are embodying this, and gamifying their experience with their employees, with their customers, etc. But where it's not being used at all is the entrepreneurial space. What I mean by that is a lot of entrepreneurs are in the coaching fields. They're not creating a widget or a this or that or a product or a tech. They actually have programs or products that are service orientated or coaching orientated. And, we can name several of them, like Tony Robbins or Lisa Sasevich, or, the list can go on and on. You know the kinds of people I'm talking about. I'm in this industry as well. My name is Dan Fowler, the imagination engineer. And I've realized over time that bringing in dynamic media content was always useful, but I couldn't really put my finger on it. And I realized in the last couple of years that it's this thing called gamification. People want an experience. And that's kind of what we're doing here at the Imagination Institute. I founded the Imagination Institute about 2 years ago. We're coming up on a 2-year birthday. And it was all about bringing people to access to great content, great training, great education, but not in the traditional way it's been delivered in the past. We want to have live events that are deeply interactive as well as educational, but where people can actually be part of the experience and not have a talking head talk at them from a stage in an uncomfortable hotel chair, etc., etc. You've been to these events too. So we wanted to create an arena where this was more palpable for the common person who, let's have a little bit of fun. Let's gamify this. Let's activate the brain centers that actually are conducive to high and deep learning. Where this whole thing with gamification is, it's just not being seen in the entrepreneurial, the self-help, personal development, business development world. It's very straight-laced, and this day and age, we are shifting away from this hard-edged, build a product or have information. People want experiences. So let's get into this here. Why experiences? Why actually get into actually doing something tangible? Well, this right here in front of you, what you're seeing is called the cone of learning. And it was developed by Edgar Dale back in 1969 and still used in a lot of ways in education today. It's talked about a lot. It's not used a lot. Some places it is. It's used really, really well, and I applaud them for that. Even in the entrepreneurial space, it's being used. However, it's not being used to its full potential. When I show this slider, I ask people if they know what the cone of learning is. Most people don't know what it is. And that's okay. I'm going to share with it right now. I'm going to go through this. So the cone of learning, it's all about this succession of the ability to retain information, to be able to not only keep it in your mind, but to be able to apply it to your experience too. So this diagram here is showing what people can retain, what people can actually understand, and hopefully apply into their everyday life, business, etc. At the top of the pinnacle of the pyramid, as it goes down, it actually grades down in the sense of how people are more effectively able to understand, remember, and engage content. So at the top up there, we get a lot of information out there on the internet. A lot of it is reading, like reading articles or blogs. And I think those are awesome. That's great. However, only 10% of what we read actually sticks in our brain. Only 10%. And then the other thing, like we go into video. Well, let's have some video now because video is more engaging so people can watch something. But only 20% of what we hear actually sticks either. So if you combine those two together, which is most videos out there, most, interact, and maybe most live events, you're seeing something being done up way over there or on a video screen, and you're hearing something or you're reading something, you're maybe getting 30% of what you totally, that's the whole seeing part, that whole see together piece. Now, if we start moving this into a more of a interactive feel as you get further down the cone of learning, you're going to see that as you're exhibiting or demonstrating or seen it done, those demonstrate, you've probably been to workshops, or maybe you've been to like fairs and they are demonstrating this new cooking oil, or they're demonstrating these new knives, and you're watching the person demonstrating it before in front of your eyes. So they're not just talking at you or having you read something or having you watch something like on a video and they just sit there. They're actually demonstrating something for you. And a movie can be done this as well. Is they're demonstrating a scene. They're getting you, really what they're doing is getting you emotionally connected to the process. So you're seeing it as it would be in real life. And in a movie, you're kind of suspending reality for a moment. You're jumping into a new reality and you're having an emotional connection to the characters, to the storyline, etc. As we move down the last two here about participating in a discussion, giving a talk, speaking in front of people, or the last one, very last one, doing a dramatic presentation, and then you're simulating the real experience or just doing the real thing right there on the spot. Those two, 70% of what people say during a discussion talk where it's interactive, it's at least two people going back and forth, hopefully more. That's when people start remembering and understanding and being able to retain information and content up to 70%. Now, I like going even one step further, all the way down to the bottom of the cone of learning, dramatic presentations. I mean, I have a background in media production, dramatic presentation. I've performed on the stage for years. So I want to bring this to bear into the way in which I connect with people through dramatic presentations, whether it's actual drama or they're getting involved with some sort of presentation so they can illustrate for themselves the learning experience. Simulating the real thing. Board games do this. They simulate a scenario. Monopoly, it's simulating you buying properties, simulating you collecting rent. But it's a whole simulation process, and you can learn a lot of how to negotiate, how to manipulate your houses, your hotels eventually, and all of the different properties that you have. And there's some chance involved, obviously, with the roll of the dice. But it's a simulating of an experience, of the real experience, that you can go and get real estate and you can charge rent for it. And there are some chance things along the way, and you can go to jail if you make a mistake. So these simulations are very, very powerful because people remember them. It's one of the reasons why, games, board games, and Monopoly, it is the most recognized board game on the planet. And that's why all these different games of Monopoly or different versions of Monopoly are out there. And then, McDonald's has Monopoly game and, Safeway has Monopoly game. It's because people know what that is. They've learned the system. They know how to play. And now they're playing in a different regard to win prizes and such. So there's some awards and rewards that go along with that. I just want to show this to you because the cone of learning, most of what's going on out there in the information age and the way in which content is delivered is only up there in the top couple, like the reading and the hearing and the seeing. These top three are the only ones being utilized, at least from a big scale. The bottom three, they are touched on from time to time, but it should be reversed. If you want high retention rate, you want high people engaging you at a high level with deep learning, start using the bottom three of the cone of learning. So this whole idea of bringing in gamification into the process of what you do. I don't care what industry you're in. You could be a lawyer. You could be a financial accountant. Doesn't matter what you do. The way you engage people can definitely be from a gamification standpoint. And I have found through my research that there are 4 major categories of gamification or gamified experiences. These are the main categories. First one is a simulation, where you're actually simulating a real thing or a real possibility. Let's put it that way. Logic. Logic like there could be puzzles. Puzzles are logic. They're visual, they're spatial, but they're logic. Okay, this piece has this kind of a fit and they go together. And then I'm trying to create an image out of these pieces that I have to logically find how they go together. Do they fit or do they not? It's like an if-then. Very logic. Kind of like us, software programming. It's either yes or it's no. It's true or it's false. Logic, same thing. Logic kinds of games can be very, very helpful, useful for client engagement, client intake, as well as using it from an entrepreneurial standpoint to market and promote. Skill set. So people having certain skills, being able to have a game, okay, let's fill out a survey. Okay, great. But that's pretty boring. Let's make the survey more engaging. Let's use a gamification strategy. Maybe you're using multiple strategies, multiple categories here in that survey. You can do that. And of course, strategy. People love strategy games. I mean, look at the gaming industry. Most games out there have some sort of strategy built into them. And when we come to the marketplace, though, when we engage people, if you are not allowing them to discover the strategy or discover their strategy on how they're going to apply your content, that's the key right there, guys. A lot of teachers and educators out there are saying, here's my strategy and here's my content. Just follow my steps. And it doesn't work. And I'll explain later why that doesn't work. But in order to have a gamified experience, you're actually taking your strategy, your personal strategy, out of the equation, providing content and an atmosphere where your end user, your client, or your prospect is being able to craft their own strategy to use your content. That, my friends, is the powerful stuff. This is where we dive into all these different, we call them smarts or intelligences. These different kinds of intelligence, and there's many more than what are on this screen right now, but there's many, many more. We use multiples of these, or should. Most of the things that are going out there, they're only using word smart, maybe logic smart, and they're using maybe some picture smart from time to time. And then spattered through, depending on the industry, people are using the other ones, depending on if they're in the health and wellness, if they're in, the arts, if they're in the sociology pieces, depending on their industry, they're popping in other intelligences. And I'm saying the more intelligences that you can fit into each one of those subcategories, these are the subcategories of the main categories we just went through, the simulation, logic, skill, and of course strategy. You can actually plug in all of these different intelligences within those games. Like having a logic game or a logic intake game that has people smart built into it, or has self smart or body smart built into it. It's a logical progression where people go, okay, A plus B equals C, and so on. So it's very, very laid out. Or a simulation of, let me have a simulation game where people smart. Let me have a dialogue with someone else. Let's see how emotionally intelligent I am, etc. So all of these different ways in which to understand content and information, that's great. Information is just information. It's just knowledge. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is just info and just there. It's actually inert. Knowledge is inert. It's what you do with the knowledge. It's how you apply it to your experience, and that becomes wisdom. So as we move into higher and higher ways and deeper ways in which to learn and actually how to teach, we find ourselves in these categories that you see on the screen here about creating, evaluating, analyzing, understanding, remembering, applying. And unfortunately, the industry, the self-help, the personal development, the business development industry with coaches and trainers, they're actually, a lot of the time, they're analyzing and they're evaluating right in here. They're doing a lot of this. Analyze, evaluate, and then they figure out what works for them, and then they apply it and they have success. Wonderful, good for them. But then they tell everyone else, hey, do it exactly like I do. Here's my magic formula, and you're going to have success. And the problem with this is you cannot have the same kind of success that someone else has. It is impossible. And I've done years of research on this, interviewed hundreds of people that have gone into programs. You probably have purchased a program, maybe too, if you're listening to this video. You've purchased a $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a year program, maybe, and you have had some success. Maybe if you worked it to the bone, you've had some success. However, you're never going to have the same level of success as the host, as the person putting on the program. Why is this? Well, even though they claim this, it's not true. It's not true. It's true for them, but it's not true for you is because of personality type. You're applying the information differently based on your worldview, based on your actually innate definition of things, your personality. So the way you approach the content is going to be different than the host approach the content. Therefore, the application is a lot different than that host or the coach that was putting on the program. So if you're able to, as an entrepreneur, and maybe you're a coach too or a trainer, and you're wanting to get people to really have success. I mean, I want people to have success, but it's not because they're following me or they're following my model. It's about me being able to give them the opportunity to apply the information I'm giving them in a unique, custom way that fits for them. So you're allowing them to strategize. You're allowing them to create their own logic around your information, and you're empowering them to do so. And that is what gamification can do. Gamification, I always call it with this image here about science and art. It's kind of the collision of science and art, or where they interconnect, this whole science bit of like, okay, here's my formula, here's my business plan, here's my marketing structure, here's my website, here's my sales funnel. Okay, that's all the science. Love it. I love that stuff. We need it. However, this day and age, a lot of trainers out there lean too heavily towards the science, and they forget about the art, or they just touch on the art a little bit. There is a massive art to gamification. There's a massive art to be an entrepreneur, to be a business person, etc. And this art piece is an attractor. The science, we know logically like we need it, but what really attracts us and hooks us into whatever it is the art, because art evokes emotion. Science is the logic. And we all know this from sales too. If you are trying to sell anything, first you've got to connect with people's emotion. They must make a buying decision with their emotions first, and then they will back up that emotional decision with logic, with science. So art and science, they must go hand in hand, and my belief is that art needs to come first. Art is the big, bolsterous, circus-like atmosphere. You don't have to go that far. I like to go that far, but you don't have to go that far. But bringing the art to bear and saying, here's the art. Look what's possible within this cool space. But your whole process is backed up by science. And they will realize that soon enough once they start ingraining themselves into your art. What is art? Well, like a live event that is not, non-traditional. How about a online forum or an online survey that is more game orientated instead of text box orientated? More of a, hey, I need to move my avatar from place to place. Can be done, and there are softwares that do it easily, and you don't even have to know it's programming at all. But we are so trained in having this science-based entry point, this very technical, laid out, structured entry point, and then people get confused, because if they don't understand the science right away, they don't engage with anything. However, with art is like a equalizer. If you come in and have an approach with art, with games, with gamification, it basically equalizes everything across the board, and then people can start to engage you and your content from that point of view, from an emotional standpoint, and then the science can kick in, the logic can kick in, and they'll see the fruition. This is the place, people, when they have those aha moments, where art and science can connect. This is this wonder piece that I have right in the middle here. It's oh, now I get it. Now I get why sales funnels need to be set up a certain way. And they get it because we were illustrating things and simulating things through the art side. Just something to think about. So this whole transition into styles of entrepreneurship, as well as, I think it's just another phase that we're coming into, guys. back in, the industrial age, there basically we created things. We built things, steam engine, and we built ships, and we built trains, and we built stuff. We built cars. And that became the place where business owners and entrepreneurs, the first level entrepreneurs of the modern age, came into play and say, I can leverage this and sell these products and services to people. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to create a factory. I'm going to hire men and women to work. I'm going to, create infrastructure in order to leverage products and services. And that's what I call an entrepreneur 1.0. And so lo and behold, later on, as we move along through the industrial age into the 1900s, and then, we hit the information age. Information age. And some people will still deny the fact that we are moving out of the information age, because we are really at lightning speed, because information is wonderful, but now we are all on information overload. And it's hard to disseminate hard to stand out, hard to disseminate information, hard to engage it at any important or worthy level. The problem now is not access, because now everybody who has a cell phone has access to information. It's not about information. It's about how do we use it? How do we apply it? How is this important to my life? So information's not important. It's the emotional connection to the information and the launch pad to get me to actually apply it to my experience. That's not happening. In some places it is, but it's not happening on a big grand scale, because a lot of people have bought into the lie that knowledge is power. And that's a total lie. Because if it was, then everybody on the planet would be empowered. There's a difference between the knowledge and the empowerment. There's actually a step in there in order to be emotionally engaged and be able to go, I'm going to apply this to my experience. And that's where I come in with where I think we are now. This whole Entrepreneur 3.0, it's about this intelligent content that is geared towards experience. So we're kind of like a hybrid between products and services and things and information. And we're creating environments so people can come in and have their own customized experience based on information and products and services, not having an information, product, and service become the experience that I have. I get to co-create this with the host or the person who's putting on the event or the person who has got the online portal or whatever it is. You are gamifying an experience atmosphere so people can walk away with customized, individualized experiences that they can apply to their experience. Why? It's because they created it. They know it inside and out, and you are helping facilitate that experience. This is Entrepreneur 3.0. So let's just talk about the gaming market for a while, this gamification of content, gamification in corporate. And it is just in its fledgling stages when it comes to the entrepreneur world, especially in the coaching development and personal development, business development. But there's a ton of money in gamification, and it is moving this way. We are in the age of the experience age. No longer are we in the information age only. We are now in this experience age. We want an experience, and more people want it. I mean, look at this huge jump in the amount of revenue that's going to be generated by a gamification approaches. Now, this is all industries, talking about mobile devices, talking about online games, talking about gamification in the corporate with employees, with potential clients. This is everything combined. But imagine just getting a little slice of that. What if you're a coach? What if you're a trainer? What if you put on live events? What if you do a lot of, you're an online networker and you are strictly marketing products and services and online, videos and membership sites, things like that. You might have something like that. You can gamify that. Change it up to be more of an experience than it is just here's information and now you've got knowledge is power, because that's a lie. 17. Wow. We're in 2016 right now, and 1 $1,707 billion. That's just huge. That's just huge. 1.7 billion? Holy moly. And then 5.5 billion by 2018. That's just 2 years away. That's the estimated. I actually think it's going to be much, much higher than this, especially with people catching on, going, oh, gamified experiences are what sell, are what help conversion, are what help trust, are what help loyal customers to keep coming back. That's the new currency today for Entrepreneur 3.0. Here's some other stats. People are looking for gamified experiences, and here's some that are preferred and not preferred. Some of the old ones that are out there that people just don't really care about anymore are like avatars, virtual gifts, virtual currencies. No one cares about that. We don't want to play online Monopoly. We want to have interaction. If you look at the ones that they do prefer, it's interaction with themselves. It's not about with others. It's not about, well, even with competing. Number one down there on the one they don't like is competing with friends. What they do like, all the ones they do like, it's all personal, personalized, customized experience, progressing to different levels, points and scores, real-time feedback on performance for them, like coach, progress bars for them, activity feeds for them. It's all about them. So they're wanting to get into a gamified experience, not so they can play games with other people, although that happens too. But they're wanting to get into these experiences for the biggest reason is for themselves, the edification of themselves, to have a unique experience separate from others, which is very interesting on these stats. So why don't you bring that to bear when you are a coach, a trainer, a live event person, an online marketer? Bring the ability for somebody to jump on your website or go to your event and have a customized, personalized experience. And you can do that through gamification of your content. I think it's time, don't you, to become this Entrepreneur 3.0 if you're not already doing this. And I would say probably most of you aren't. You've been taught, so was I was taught the straight-laced Entrepreneur 2.0 way, that here it is, knowledge funnel, ram it down their throat with emails and social media posts, and let's just ram it until we get the numbers. Grow your list to as huge as you can, because you're only going to get 10% of those people actually opening your emails, and then only another 10% of those on a good day who are going to convert on those emails. So if you had 100,000 person list, which is pretty good size, only 10% of those are actually going to open your email, excuse me. So wow, only 10,000 people out of your 100,000 person list opens your email. Wow. And out of those 10,000, 10% of those, that's 1,000. So 1,000 people will buy something, come to an event, buy a widget, go buy a training, quick, easy sells, the whole couple $100 range. Okay, great. But what about those other 90,000 people that are doing nothing? They're deadheads. You're not engaging them at all. What if you could shift and create an experience that was delivered in an interactive and co-creative way with them, and change 10,000 into 90,000. Have 90% of your people actually opening and engaging what you're doing. It can be done. And one of the areas that we do it, I'm a big guy on live events. We do live interactive events. I mean, we get rid of the hotel chairs. That's me in the picture there, just flipping some bubbles. You see our little floaty fish up there. They're actually remote control. You can fly them around the room. I mean, stuff like that. Gets people outside of their boxes that they put themselves in. We got live music back in the background. You see that too. Let me show you another picture. Here's our one of our music directors doing a song. People just getting into it. Not because just to have a song, but a song that leads into opening neural pathways in the brain that are conducive to high and deep learning. So if I want to really teach concepts that no one's heard before, or teach concepts that are hard to understand, I want to be able to prepare my audience's brains for this. It's not just about the content. It is about the way in which it's delivered through music, through drama, through bubbles, through interaction, through coloring. Shoot, here's some coloring. So I asked people to draw their business ecosystem as they saw it right now. And that's what you kind of see right underneath there. They drew their business ecosystem. What does it look like? Where are the holes? But they get to draw it. They get, and like, wow, let's customize a solution for this. I'm not going to customize the solution. They are. I'm going to give them information and tools and guide them. However, they're going to be the ones that actually create the tools. Very different than here's my model, here's my success stories, here's my case study, follow it to a T and you'll become a millionaire. But that doesn't exist. Only a small fraction of people succeed is because they are the exact same personality type as the coach or the trainer who are putting on the program. Most people will not be the same personality type with the same structure. Therefore, they will not see that kind of success. So why don't we create something that's customized to their personality and their needs? And then you're going to have very happy people doing interactive things in an event space. I do a lot of events. You can do this interactively online as well, through social media space, through your online portals, through membership sites. Coloring looks like it's a bunch of kids coloring. However, they're doing some very deep business work here. And I've had tons of people who have gone through the experiences with me with our events at Imagination IQ and said, wow, I actually, for the first time, I get it. I get the science now because we went through an art portal. And you can too, this gamified experience, interactive content, so they can flush it out for themselves and create a strategy for success where they can apply your content. That's what you really want. You want them to succeed with little effort on your part. So as we come to this whole idea of gamification, I want to share with you what we do. We actually put on gamification summits to teach you a lot of things regarding gamification and how to do it for yourself and how to do it for the stuff that you bring to your clients. So if you come to our gamification summits, we got a couple that are coming up. Here's what you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to gamify your online and offline content. You're going to be able to gamify your live events and workshops if you put those on, or if you're planning to put these on, this is a great place to come. Like, I'm going to do a live event in 6 months. Well, you need to come to the Gamification Summit because I'm going to show you exactly what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. So you can take that and apply it in your system, your customized strategy, and apply it to your system. Sales funnels. Everybody has to have a sales funnel. I do my sales funnels differently, but I gamify them. So I'm going to teach you how to gamify your sales funnel. It's not just here, get my ebook, and now you're in my email list, and I'm going to pound you with emails until you unsubscribe or buy something. I'm going to show you how to do it on a more authentic, integrity base with the sales funnels that is gamified, and people are going to love you for it. I'm going to talk about technology intakes, like the right kinds of technology that can help you gamify your content. It already exists out there, but you're probably not using it in a gamified arena. So I'm going to teach you what those pieces of technology, software out there, web platforms, I'm going to give you that content, but I'm going to give you some examples and some ideas on how you can use it to gamify your content that you already have. Gamification of speaking engagements. I do this all the time. Every time I speak in someone else's stages, and I gamify the thing. People are like all over the place, loving it, because they don't see that normally. Some people comes up with a PowerPoint and they talk at them. Me, I want to engage. I'll use PowerPoint too. However, I'm going to engage the audience in a deep way through gamification. I'm going to show you what I do and how you can possibly do that for yourself too. And of course, we're going to go into how to create your own games too. We actually created our own board game to go along with all the things that we do. It's called the Imagination IQ board game. Pretty simple. But we created a board game, and I'll teach you what I did. So maybe you'll take some information from there and how to create your own board game for business. We're going to touch on that a little bit. Board games for business. Big, big, big industry. Oh my gosh, especially for corporate. If you're wanting to get into corporate, getting corporate clients, board games for corporate, even if they're not just standalone in a box, but you're creating games that corporate players and employees are playing to have higher sales engagements, to have greater communication between departments. Sky's the limit of what you can do there. And by the time you're done with our gamification summit, it's a 2-day gamification summit, you're going to walk away with a custom gamification strategy for you with all the information I give you, but you're going to have the means in which to create your own gamification strategy for the content that you already have. So here's some more pictures here. There's our Imagination IQ board game on the top left up there. Some of our events, our blow up dice, so we use balloons. Stuff that's really cheap. It's cheap to create, cheap to bring it into an environment of a business type meeting. They love it. Your people will love it. Do crazy, wacky exercises. But it gets people thinking about the content, and it opens up neural pathways that wouldn't normally be there because no one's really doing it out there. You should be doing it too. So here it is, Gamification Summit. That big red button there, where if you're watching this on YouTube or any place else that has this YouTube embedded, you can click right on that button right there. We've got an annotation set up. Just click on that button. It'll take you to our Gamification Summit page. You can learn more about gamification, listen to some testimonials, see what we're doing, and be able to register for your tickets. We got 2 coming up. We've got one in March 12 and 13 in Roseville, California. That's Northern California. It's a little north of Sacramento. I would love for you guys to be there. That's the one that's coming up here. And the other one after that is a couple months later, about 2.5 months later, in Rancho Cordova. That's literally right on the outside of Sacramento. It's in Sacramento County. It's just right outside of Sacramento, Rancho Cordova. It's where we had our last Imagination IQ event back in October. But these are the 2 gamification summits, 2 days of the content that's going to teach you how to gamify your content, your live events, your online presence, your whatever it is. How to do this. Not only how, but why it exists, the different structures, all the different pieces that go into gamifying your content. You don't have to come up with new content. You just need to create a delivery vehicle, an intake vehicle that is gamified. And when you do that, your interaction, engagements, and conversions are going to go up, and I'm going to show you how to do this. Normally, these events are $695, $697, I think it is, $697. And that's the public buys that and comes on in. For you guys, though, you're watching this video, you're probably seeing this in my local networks through Facebook or LinkedIn or YouTube. So those people who are associating me with that way, I want to make sure that you have every option to be here, and there's no reason not to. So what I'm going to do is actually give you a discount off of those tickets. Instead of spending about $700 for the 2 days, I'm actually going to give you this. It's a promo code. When you do register, it's called Dan Fowler Special. That's me, Dan Fowler Special, and you can get an instant $500 off either the general admission, which is $697, or the VIP experience, which includes lunches with me and some other deeper content that other people do not get. You get that. Those are normally $897. You get $500 off of that. So you get to choose either one. So it's either the general admission, $697, VIP experience, $897, $500 off either one of those. General admission comes to only $197 for a 2-day immersive on this. That's going to blow your mind. You probably have never experienced anything quite like this. So I'm very excited to share it with you. And I want to share this promo code with you so you can come up and join us in March. And if you can't make the March one, join us in May. If you have more information or you have more information you want to share with me, maybe about your projects or your things, does this fit for me? Feel free to give me an email. Go to the page, click on that red button up there. That's connected to our massive site of the Imagination Institute, the big umbrella site. You can email me directly from that site if you want to ask me something directly, or that page is going to take you so you can register for your tickets. We would love to see you there. Again, my name is Dan Fowler. I am the Imagination Engineer, and I'm here to help entrepreneurs and business owners like yourself be able to tap into their imagination and then engineer those ideas powerfully and profitably into the world. And one of the ways and one of the vehicles I use is gamification. I look forward to seeing you there.